Hello, welcome back to Mind Over Mass. Kind of feel like I look like a frazzled wreck today. Who's ready for round two? We are taking a look at Sonnet 60, which, like the other one, I've been struggling with a bit. So, some context. The poem, the sonnet, is pondering life and maturity and sort of the briefness of how much time we're on this planet for, and it's really thinking about life and death and youth and maturity and all that. So, like as the waves make towards the pebbled shore, so do our minutes hasten to their end. Okay, that's pretty straightforward, right? He's talking about our minutes, our time, goes in the bigger picture of things. Our lives move pretty quickly in comparison to the entirety of the world's age, the planet's age. Human existence ends very quickly. Each changing place with that which goes before, in sequent toils all forwards do contend. That sentence, in sequent toils all forwards do contend. I have been stuck on that, especially the all forwards. And I kept thinking and researching, what does all forwards mean? Like, does that mean the waves are all forward? Is it a noun? Like, how is he using that? So I looked it up today a little bit more. And the thing that makes the most sense, so if we're looking back in Old English, it originally, instead of forwards, was fourth words, towards the future, going towards the future, fourth words. In that context, if you think about, almost as if all futures do contend. So what kind of struck me was perhaps he's not just talking about the individual, like my own minutes hastening to their end. We're talking about everybody's. And each minute, yes, of my time changing place with the next one, even in this video, minute 2:55 is going to be replaced by minute 3 eventually. But in the context of everybody's minutes, so all forwards do contend, not just my minutes, but your minutes, Glenn's minutes, Sandra's minutes. So all futures contend, all minutes contend, all forwards contend. That's what makes the most sense to me right now. So if we're kind of rereading it, as the waves make towards the pebbled shore, so do our minutes hasten to their end. Each changing place with that which comes before, in sequent toils, all forwards do contend. This next sort of quatrain, nativity, once in the main of light, crawls to maturity. And that's kind of a nice imagery anyway, how a baby crawls before it walks. That's nice imagery in and of itself. Wherewith being crowned crooked eclipses 'gainst his glory fight. Nativity, once in the main of light. Okay, so obviously, once upon a time type of thing. Crawls to maturity, wherewith being crowned as maturity, crooked eclipses 'gainst his glory fight. Wherewith being crowned, crooked eclipses 'gainst his glory fight. Now, what I researched was, I guess, back in, 1500s, or sorry, just back in that time, eclipses were really seen as like a bad omen. Like they didn't tell about anything good happening. And make it now crooked, I mean, that makes it even worse. Crooked eclipses 'gainst his glory. So we're talking about nativity, his glory fight. But it's interesting because we're treating nativity as like a person, as a thing. And nativity is getting crowned to maturity. I mean, we're not saying that maturity is necessarily a good thing. Nativity, once in the main of light, and then we jump down to against his glory fight. I don't associate maturity with the glory. I think there is something glorious, you know? I mean, that's why people say ignorance is bliss. You know, I mean, there's something about that, like that glory and the bliss of youth. I mean, you're just fighting. I get that much. I get the sort of surfacey. You're fighting against time. You're fighting against age. Crooked eclipses against his glory. Fight. You're just constantly being eclipsed by the minutes that are to come. There's no stopping the fact that you're even aging in a day, and it's eclipsing the youth that was yesterday. I mean, I just think of, you know, as you get into your old age, how that kind of eclipses, you know, like if you're in your 70s or 80s, that's definitely going to eclipse your youth. You're just fighting age. The rest of the quatrain. And time that gave doth now his gift confound. I mean, that's pretty clear. Like, time, we had so much time and now we have so little time. You know, when you're 10 years old, you have so much time and it's a gift. And when you're 80 or 90, you don't have that time anymore. And it just goes by so quickly. And it is confusing and confounding. Like, where did the time go? And you're just fighting old age. Time doth transfix the flourish set on youth, and delves the parallels in beauty's brow. I've already got a couple, like, parallels going on right there, so we all know what that means. Wrinkles. Feeds on the rarities of nature's truth. That was another line I kind of stumbled on. Feeds on the rarities of nature's truth. And here's how I was interpreting it. I just feel, you know, like when people say only the good die young, maybe they're saying time just loves eating up all the goodness of life, and it just takes and takes and takes, you know, even the fact that when someone dies and is taken from you, how do you deal with that? I mean, you know, I think about my dad and how he was so revered by the community and just respected and loved. He died at 56, you know? I mean, he was a very rare individual, just an artist, empathetic, kind, compassionate. He's a rare type of human being, was. And it's almost as if the kinder someone is, the more loving and empathetic, and it's like, time just loves eating that crap up. Just leaving us to fester in our own misery almost. And then I love the last sort of line in that quatrain, and nothing stands but for his scythe to mow. I love that they're kind of saying death and time are one and the same, because they really are. As time goes on, you die. You slowly die. We're dying every single day. And nothing stands but for a scythe to mow. And literally at the end of the day, nothing is alive but to die. You don't live but to die. And you're just making what you can out of the life you have. And yet to times and hope my verse shall stand. I kind of read that, and yet 2 times in hope. I love that he's sort of preaching to time. You know, if time is death, then time is also God that gives life. And he's sort of, and yet 2 times in hope my verse shall stand. Like, hopefully my verse will stand the test of time, and kind of praying to the deity of time almost. And yet 2 times in hope my verse shall stand, praising thy worth despite his cruel hand. My verse is the thy that it's referring to, praising thy, the verse, praising thy worth despite his cruel hand. There's something, you know, Shakespeare's kind of saying, hey, I'm trying to explain that time goes by quickly, and you need to see that, people. Like, you need to understand that time is slipping between your fingers, and you're not going to get it back. And heed my words, basically. Heed my words, enjoy the beauty, enjoy the time you're given, despite the fact that you're going to die, despite the fact that you're going to run out of time, despite the fact that you're going to be old someday. Enjoy what you have now. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.